This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right. How are you doing, Ira? You hanging in there?
Yep, doing good. Looking forward to a little Eurobasket starting tomorrow. Get to see a little Fontecchio, a little Pelle Larsson, hopefully a lot of Nikola Jovic, because I really think playing alongside Nikola Jokic and Bojan Bogdanovic, he might be able to show a little bit more of who he is and what he is. So it's kind of weird in August watching basketball, but I think it could be a meaningful 2 or 3 weeks for all three of those players.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I'm sure by next year we'll have some idiot Heat fans like telling us that Jokic's relationship with Jovic from the EuroLeagues will bring him to Miami, and we'll have that new whale search for because he'll be disgruntled in Denver and he'll want to come to Miami. So I can already see those stories coming because everybody wanted to come play with Bam. So now the new one will be everybody wants to come play with Jovic. So I can just...
You know what, Big O? I know there's a little sarcasm and wryness there, but I do think you make a strong point for this reason. We've got to stop with the hope peddling. It is destructive. It is counterintuitive. Stop trying to tease people every year from June through August about who might be coming. Focus on what you have, what you can build, what you can deliver. Decide if Bam is enough, if Tyler is enough, if Jovic is enough, if Jaquez is enough, if Ware is enough, if Yakuchonis is enough. That's fine, but you got to get real. Look, there was an era when there was not a second apron, when the luxury tax wasn't as punitive, and you could dream of LeBron, of Chris Bosh, of Shaquille O'Neal, of Jimmy Butler, of Goran Dragic. But just like you with your Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, the world changes and you have to adjust. And right now you can see Oklahoma City Thunder, defending NBA champions, build through youth, build through collecting assets, build through patience and some very difficult years. So you know what? If there's one thing I would say that I agree with you, which is hard to do for me at any time of day, let alone in the morning, it is this. You've got to stop the hope peddling of this guy could be available, and maybe this guy will come free, and maybe LeBron will finish here. Appreciate what you have, grow it from within. The Heat are at a point now they can do that, maybe even more so than the Dolphins. The Heat are at a point now where you can say in a year or 2 or 3, there is genuine chance for growth now. There's nothing wrong with enjoying it just like a family. Enjoy the growth of your team.
You're preaching to the choir, brother. I mean, that's what I've been saying for years now because I knew they had no shot at any of these whales and because they are refusing to adjust to the new times. Mm-hmm. And while I want to see the young guys, Ware and Jovic and my boy Pelle Larsson, mm-hmm. I get that. What I would like to do with those guys is compliment them by trading the tradable pieces and getting those future picks and surrounding it with those young guys. And then I can really maybe take off and all that, but they're not willing to do that. So we're going in this direction.
Not willing yet. Yes.
But I'm glad what you said because it needs to end already because every year it's all this crazy hopium and it just makes no sense. And people have to understand, okay? The Heat are not the Heat anymore. It's just kind of the way it is. They're not that franchise that they used
to. Under the Heat, right. It's cyclical. It's the world we live in. You can push for playoffs all you want, but at some point you might need to step back. You might need to reconsider. You might need to, at the fork in the road, look at the other pathway to what you can do and grow from within. So as long as you can tell me, hey, I enjoyed watching Jovic the other day. Hey, man, Ware those 3 blocks, that kid is something on defense. That's something too, and that counts also, which is why I don't think there's going to be a more important period this time, this year, this season, on our Acura Pembroke Pines report than the 3 weeks in October when Tyler Hero was eligible for its extension. Because if the Heat lock him into some deal, could be as much as $50 million, I would think less, you're locking in which fork on the road you're going to take. Yes. So I think it's going to be really curious from October 1 to October, I believe October 20, the window there for that extension. Give us a signal. Pat Riley, send that puff of smoke up. What are you going to do? How are you going to elect the direction of your team going forward? And again, I think there's enough patience for you and I to sit here every week, even during football season, on our accurate Pembroke Pines report and say, Ira, I like how this guy is growing, and this guy is growing, and this guy is growing. But I also have concerns about A, B, and C as opposed to X, Y, and Z. That's fine also. That's real life. That's how it happens, instead of just saying, well, we're just going to sell something that's just not there.
Yeah, no, it's just we also have to reprogram the fans, because they have to understand that the Heat isn't the sexy team anymore. Two, they're not playing by the rules of today's game. So because of that, they are not a player in free agency anymore. And that's what a lot of fans want to go back to the way Riley used to do things, but he can't do things the way he used to. And fans have to adjust and think, oh no, just we'll get the next star and the next. That those days are done, dude.
But here's the thing: it can't be Orlando Alzugaray reprogramming. It can't be Ira Winderman or the other media. It has to be the Heat. It has to be Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra sitting there and going, "We will grow this thing." It has to be Mickey Harrison during Hall of Fame weekend, a weekend from this weekend, saying, "Hey, we did it one way. We had the glory years. Now there's another path to go," just like in any business, including his cruise line business that is constantly reinventing himself. That's part of life also. So I think what has to happen, look, I've spoken to people in the Heat. They respect Pat Riley's championship or misery, but they realize the times have changed. You can enjoy a nice playoff run. You can enjoy a fun playoff series. You can enjoy winning the lottery. There's a lot of ways that you can get joy between championship and misery. That's what the Heat have to stress. Eric Spoelstra is going to come out on Media Day on September 29th and say, hey, we're going for it because that's who we are. But what is going for it? And is going for it growing our young players, developing our future core, putting things together and getting our ducks in order. For the first time in years, the Heat have just one outstanding first-round pick due because of the god-awful Terry Rozier trade in hindsight. But they only have one outstanding. For years, they've had two or more outstanding. Get your draft picks in order. Get your cap in order. Get your youth in order. There's a way to make this and grow it. So you take steps. Last season, 37 wins. Maybe next, 41 wins and 500. But grow in those steps that get you somewhere, instead of that sort of up and down cycle we saw in the Jimmy Butler years where it becomes all or nothing in the playoffs.
By the way, speaking of Terry Rozier, because the other guy also not part of the investigation anymore, do we know if this is also...
No, we don't. And even today it came out, Front Office Sports had a really interesting report. Yes, Malik Beasley is not the subject of the investigation, but he's also not been exonerated, and he still can be charged. He's just not the kingpin. And I think what has been the case all along, whether it's Terry or Malik Beasley or Jonte Porter, is who's running all this? Who's reaching out to NBA players? Who's setting this up? So that doesn't mean there's innocence there. It just means they are not the subject of primary interest. And it goes on. And anyone who knows about federal investigations, it's their own timetable. There's no 82-game schedule. There's no 10-month schedule. They will get around to it to when they damn well please. And until then, even beyond his game, Terry Rozier will remain toxic, because who wants to take that on? But I don't want to say silver lining because it's not fair to Terry. But if he is involved or he is charged and the money comes off the books, you know what it is, Big O? You're old enough to remember this. It becomes the Anthony Carter get out of jail free card when Anthony Carter forgot to re-up at his option date, and all of a sudden they got Lamar Odom in free agency and started the pathway to the Shaq trade. So this Terry Rozier thing has two tentacles for the Heat. One, you're stuck with $26 million contract as of now. But two, if that money disappears, oh my God, you talk about your Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, the path to financial freedom for the Heat would be that. Because when that comes off the books, then there's a whole host of things they can do to reset a lot faster than right now. So that remains very much watching on multiple fronts for the Heat and for Terry Rozier.
Big three, a little Heat action in the championship. I don't watch the stuff, to be quite honest. I don't really care about the big three. But I did see the highlights because
It was
obviously
fun. I watched. It was
Chalmers
fun.
and Beasley were in it. So your thoughts on it? I mean,
It reminds me of when they had the and one league, and there were guys who were great dunkers, and they could do individual stuff, but they weren't NBA players. Michael Beasley, at his age of 36 right now, remains one of the best one-on-one basketball players on planet Earth. Honestly, if you put him against Anthony Edwards, if you put him against an elite NBA scorer one-on-one, he would contend. That's what he does. Can he defend? Can he make passes? Can he read the defense? Can he run an offense? No, 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 no. But here's the deal. That team, Miami 305, shared a $1 million prize for winning the championship game in Orlando on Sunday. You can do the math on a 5-player team. So Michael Beasley makes $100,000 for playing 10 weekends in the Big Three during the regular season, made another $200,000 on Sunday. God bless him. Beasley gets to do what he wants, gets $300,000 for playing half-court 3-on-3 basketball with a bunch of old men. God bless him. I'm glad he's happy. And to see Mario Chalmers hit another big shot, just like he did at Kansas against Memphis in the championship game in the NCAAs to send it to overtime, good. I'm glad these guys are having fun because as much as Michael Beasley wasn't what the Heat wanted, he was always a good guy. And you know what? Now that it's legal and everyone is lighting up anywhere to the point that players at the U.S. Open are saying the smell is affecting them playing tennis, it's just a way of the world. So if Super Cool Bees wants to be Super Cool Bees, God bless him. And if Mario Chalmers still wants to chase a chance for basketball glory, God bless him. It's fun. It's August. I have no issue. But as you saw today, my first Ask Ira, can the Heat bring Michael Beasley back? No, they can't, because no, they shouldn't, because he's 36 years old, and God bless Super Cool, but we moved on. But yeah, it was a fun moment on Sunday. And you know what, Big O? Sports still can be that. They still could be a moment. You read it in the paper. I watched it live where you smile and you go, good for those guys.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I deal with Dolphins. Bring back Xavier Howard. I mean,
right.
Speaking of weed, plenty of that being smoked for that one. All right. What do you got going on in the South Florida Sun Sentinel? So folks,
I wrote about how the Heat are still working on their roster. They're limited to 21 players in the offseason. They're at 20 right now. Steve Settle, a stretch 3 from Temple, will be eventually signed. They're maneuvering their signing. So you have that going on. I wrote my Sunday column about Eurobasket. Again, even though it's not Heat games, there's so much we can see. I know you love Pelle Larsson. He's on a bad Sweden team that shouldn't advance. But I want to see what he can do as a leading man. Will he ever be a Heat leading man? No. But this is a nice showcase for him. We saw what he did in Summer League as a leading man. You want to see your players grow. His $2 million contract is probably the most cost-effective contract on the Heat roster now. So he'll be playing for Sweden. That starts on Wednesday. Simon Fontecchio with Italy had a terrible shooting season last year with Detroit. But if he comes around with his shot, hey, with Duncan Robinson gone, the Heat don't have a lot of shooting. Curious to see what he does with Italy. But the entire story is the favorites in the tournament, Serbia. And what can Nikola Jovic do? And this is his forum when you're playing with guys like Bogdanovic, with Jokic, with Nikola Topic, the player from the Oklahoma City Thunder. He can show if he's ready for the next step. There's a reason Eric Spoelstra went to his game in Belgrade over the weekend, spoke to him, spoke to his agent. And here's part 2. For months, Orlando Alzugaray has been berating me about a Tyler Hero extension with the words, no, 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 no. But, Big O, Nikola Jovic is now eligible for an extension. And I say lock the guy up. And I say if you can get the guys for 4 years at $50 million at a reasonable price, $12 to $15 million a year, I like Nikola Jovic a lot. And I think his play in Eurobasket and maybe the start of the season will give you a better window. But you know what? If you're saying
$15 million ain't shit in the NBA.
It's like 8% of the salary cap. So if a guy can even be a sixth man, get it done now. Because Big O, if you want the Heat to work with their young assets, you have to keep your young assets.
No, I like that. Plus, Jovic has got some balls. He's got an edge to him, and that's what I like about Larsson.
I think put on the muscle, and he's grown up. You forget how young Jovic is, that he's 22 years old. There's so much of a future. Look, what has been the classic Heat case with these guys? You develop a little, and you trade them away for some really old guy, like with the Shaquille O'Neal trade that they made, even the Dragic trade they made as an older player.
That's a team in a different stage also. So some of those moves made sense at that time to add veterans. At this time, you got to go young, man. You got to go young. That's why I love Larson. I think Larson can turn into like a bulldog six man, you know, a better skilled Posey. Let's put it that way.
And you
Offensive.
have him for 2 more years at the minimum. Lock up Jovic. You have Khalil Ware under his rookie contract. You have Yakakotos under his rookie contract. You have Jaime Jaquez, who you still get to look at. Don't just throw these guys right and left. Remember, there was the Durant trade that you were against, and you were going to shovel Environ out of there, and Houston outmatched the Heat's offer. So let's look at these guys. Let's see what they do. But don't judge it on a game-by-game basis. Go week by week, month by month. Understand young players need time also. And if you don't have that championship or misery approach and say, hey, come to Kaseya Center, watch young players grow, watch us develop our Barkov, watch us develop our young players, you can see eventually there will be a payoff, but there has to be patience to get that payoff.
Oh, I have no problem. What I hate is chasing your tail. Is what I hate. At least here, there's a method to the madness. You're actually trying to build with these young guys. But, you know, you're living in this fantasy of trying to, you know, the hopium. Every year you're trying to get a piece that you don't have the chips to play poker, and you keep lying to yourself and the fan base and all that. I hated that because it's just not realistic anymore. And you're unwilling to see the landscape has changed, and you're not adjusting, and it's disturbing, dude. It really is disturbing.
It's going to start.
Listen, you and I are old enough, okay? We can talk about this shit. We watched Shula get old. The salary cap hit him, and he was like, "What the fuck is going on here?" And he put him in cap hell right away, because that's what Jimmy inherited. He inherited a whole bunch of cap runs because the old man didn't know. And I hate to say this, but there's a lot of that going on right now. The league changed the way they did things, and the Heat has not adjusted.
But I think Eric Spoelstra will. And I think Eric Spoelstra enjoys a challenge. And I think Eric Spoelstra enjoys developing. So let him do that. And judge the results more on, is there growth? Instead of you and I sitting here in May or April in our accurate Pembroke Pines report talking about the Heat record, what we need to be talking about, Big O, is, did Jovic grow? Did Jaquez grow? Did Ware grow? Did the rookie grow? That's what's going to matter as much, because we saw with the Panthers, you have to build up to that. You have to develop internally also, or develop to a point where you have so many trade ships, you could say, hey, we finally have a wealth of riches. They have done great in the draft recently. They have offloaded all of those undrafted players. Say what you want about Strus and Vincent and Caleb Martin. They're not working with molding guys who aren't good enough. They're molding first-round picks now because they've kept their picks. Now this is the developmental process. Play in playoff secondary. Will the Miami Heat get better? At the end of the season, will you tell me X, Y, and Z have gotten better? That's what this season should be about.
I'm 100% with you there. All right, follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat. And, of course, subscribe to the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Ira, as always, thank you. Appreciate you immensely. We will catch up next week, my friend.
And next week, we'll talk about Mickey Harrison's week of going into the Hall of Fame. We'll talk about owners in South Florida. Should be interesting. Thanks, Big O.
You got it. He's definitely one of the best owners in South Florida history and one of the best dealerships in the country, the best Acura dealership here in South Florida by far, bar none, baby. It is Acura of Pembroke Pines. Go see Larry Schlossberg and Pat Nasto, Tony Stampone, all the great people out there, man. It's the Summer of Performance event going on right now. We got 3.9% financing for 60 months on the 2025 Integra, $299 a month. The ADX, brand new sedan, new model, man. Beautiful, by the way. You're going to love it. 2025 model, $299 a month, 4.9% financing for 60 months. The RDX, you can get a 2025 model. My wife drives an RDX every day, 4.9% financing for 60 months. And the ZDX Type S, 2024 model. We still have a few. You can get it for $469 a month, 0% financing for 72 months. Remember, the $7,500 tax break is going away. Okay, so you're not going to get $7,500 off an electric car. The orangutan has eliminated that. You can still get it right now. Take advantage at Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.